Is shit about to get down for Bitcoin as it does approach the low of $60,000? Well, in today's video, we're going to go over perhaps the worst case scenario for Bitcoin in the more near term. Why are you laughing? Seriously, why are you laughing? What's funny about that? Shit's about to hands. Does that make more sense to you? Is that make more sense to you? And then we'll also go over something that I think is actually probably going to surprise a lot of people, at least as far as probabilistic setups go. So first things first, let's jump into the charts. Actually, before that, I should let you know that you can join the Discord community. I put out a link on Twitter, and there's also one in this nice description as well, which you can join. It's completely free, and you can chat with people like Queen Elsa and also Oppressed Fatty. That's one of the best names I've seen in a while. A lot of good faces in there. A lot of very, very cool people. A lot of OGs like Equinox actually as well. And with that said, we can jump right into the content of the day. So first things first, I want to go over sort of the more short term and then perhaps short term worst case scenario. And today is an FOMC day. And you haven't heard me talk about FOMC for quite some time, probably about a year now, because in my opinion, it just really hasn't mattered all that much. But with FOMC coming later today, I do think that there is a ripe opportunity for some short-term volatility with Bitcoin, probably retesting the current lows, maybe making a slightly lower low. But ultimately, I do think that this correction is now starting to get closer to the bottom of it than not. And we're likely in for a period of sideways boringness. I kind of see two things on the market right now. There are, like, it seems like half of the market is saying this is a fucking major top. Bitcoin's coming down significantly, probably below $50,000, maybe even lower than that, maybe even below $40,000. And then I see another side of the market that's just like, it's up from here. It's going to be up literally today. I don't know. Maybe it is. But in this case, we do see, at least in my opinion, a good chance for perhaps the worst case scenario is going to be another Twitter post that I made yesterday night, which is the herp and derp going on right here, which, I mean, fair enough. It is in play with a left herp, a derp, and then a right herp over here. And the neckline right around $65,000, which Bitcoin's obviously below, and that would have an implied target at $57,500. So somewhere around there. Not going to be super exact with it, but ultimately, you know, could we see a wick down around there? Maybe even later today around an FOMC sort of event. Perhaps yes. But here's the thing. If Bitcoin were to play out a move down to 57,500 theoretically, what would that imply? Well, that would imply a pretty interesting correction. It would imply about a 22% correction. Actually, before maybe I get into that, I should also say that that potential target down to 57,500 would actually correlate quite well with the next sort of major, the next major area to be aware of on the HPDR bands, actually coming in a little bit lower than that, to be fair. Ah, shit, let me turn off damn Telegram over there. Damn Jeets. I don't even know what a Jeet is, but it sounds funny. Maybe it's racist. I don't know. In which case, I take that back. It's not funny at all. Nothing racist is funny ever at all, period. Anyways, yeah, so in this case, you know, that measured move would be kind of in alignment with the next level, the 78.6 level right here. You see that Bitcoin is kind of based off of the 61.8. This is on a 2-day time frame. If we go down to a daily, it's just going to be kind of the same areas, but different numbers. Of course, the next area on the daily, which would be a little bit more in alignment with the measured move here, the implied target from a herp and derp, would actually be down around the 95% level, and that would be actually 57,500, actually right on the dot. So what does that imply? Well, that implies that if Bitcoin were to get down to this level today, for example, or wherever it comes in around, that would imply that there would be a 2.5% chance or 2.5% probability that Bitcoin would actually close below it. So very, very high probability for at least a short-term bouncy region, if not, you know, we've kind of already seen this area today. Damn it, fucking Telegram, shut up. I get all these shill requests on Telegram. It's like, hey, can you show my product? We'll give out a free MacBook Pro. Sir, I'm a PC master race. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, MacBook? This is ridiculous. MacBook is for fucking soy boys. It's absurd. Yeah, you're a girl and you have a MacBook. It's meant to be. Elsa is the biggest soy boy of them all, and you can speak with her in the Discord, I guess, if you want to do that. It's actually pretty fun. Anyways, but I should warn you, like, for real, in the Discord, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's kind of like no holds bar, and there are a wide, diverse set of opinions. Some of them absolutely despicable, and I will say that right at the outset. It's like, holy shit, you actually think that? Wow. I need to protect myself in some way. Anyways, yes. Okay. So back on topic here. This level would correlate quite well if Bitcoin were to see it today or tomorrow. I imagine it's probably gonna be around the same region. And I do think that would be the next sort of area of interest if Bitcoin essentially dumps out of the bottom of its current, correction. Now, here's the thing: if we go back on over here, and as I measured up before, that would be a theoretical 22% correction, little over 22% correction from the current high of Bitcoin. Well, that's very much in alignment with what the flavor of the cycle for the past little over a year now has been in terms of corrections. We've seen the first major correction. This was back in February of 2023. Bitcoin played out a 22.5% correction over the course of about, let's actually get that properly done there, about 22 days. We see another correction over here starting from the highs in April of 2023, and that one taking 62 days for about a 20% corrective period. And then we have another one right here. If I actually do this properly, it would be about 60 days for a 21.5% correction. We have another one yet again over here coming off of the back of the ETF, and that would again be a 21% correction over, let's actually get the amount of days, about 12 days. And well, if Bitcoin were to play out a correction right here, to that number, that would be very much in alignment with that. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't wick a little bit lower or anything like that. Of course it can. But, Bitcoin typically does have these sort of flavor of the cycle type corrections. I'm not going to go over 2017 because a million people have already done this, and they actually, I'll get into that meme in a second. But what they do get right is that in 2017, there was about the same corrective percentage the whole way through, I think 7 or 8 times, of like 35 to 40%. And in the cycle before that, there actually was similar as well. Now, I think where people get this wrong, so they're like, dude, did you know in 2017 it corrected 35% every time? It's going to correct 35% every time in this cycle too. Probably not. Like, obviously fucking not. Like, Jesus Christ, were you not paying attention for the last fucking year? Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, back onto it right here. As far as timing goes, you do see kind of a wide array of numbers here, but I would personally speaking, I would think that this is going to be on the more longer side for this one to take. I think I could easily see this correction taking a month or two to kind of play out. Can I be wrong in that? Yeah, absolutely. I don't have strong opinions on that, but here would be, in my opinion, the easiest way to decipher whether this correction is over or not. And if you are looking at this as a herp and derp, which kind of does work out as one, then trading back above the high of the right derp, the right shoulder, at 68,918 on the index, would be indicative that this one's ready to go up and to the right. And technically, there would actually be a measured move on top of that as well, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't play out the downside move right here. But it's closer to doing that than not, so I wouldn't necessarily run with that assumption. Anyways, also of interest, if we go over here to stochastic momentum, the daily stochastic momentum has actually turned down significantly now. So we were looking at an overall corrective phase if Bitcoin, or if the stochastic momentum did dip below 80, which it did and closed below there. Now it is all the way around the bearish control zone actually. So it's made a lot of runway in a very short amount of time, which is saying that this correction is in terms of like price is probably well underway. We're probably closer to the low than not. Could very well be eating those words as always, but just probabilistically speaking, the further down that it goes here, well, the more and more likely it's going to be time to be looking for higher lows. But still, the pivot is well above price action at 70,500. So as long as Bitcoin's below there or below that right derp, which are getting very close to each other now, pressure's onto the downside, and I would still be I guess biased towards more likely a move towards $57,000. But yeah. So the longer that Bitcoin kind of spends, taking its time to get to this next low, the more and more that is going to be eaten up, and volatility will cool off, which has not cooled off really at all, to be fair yet. But that's why I do say that this can probably take, a month or two, which I think very few people are ready for. I think a lot of people have been lulled into this high volatility period because Bitcoin's been more or less straight up since January, right? And realistically, it's up for a bit, sideways for a bit, up for a bit, sideways for more than a bit, actually. And I think we're kind of getting ready for something like that. Wouldn't even surprise me. It wouldn't be uncharacteristic for Bitcoin as well to trade sideways most of summer, actually. I'm not saying that it's going to, but it's not out of the ordinary, thinking in terms of seasonality. Anyways, what else do I want to say about this? Yes, okay, so we got that. Just looking at my notes over here. Also, it should be known that on the daily time frame, again, at some point there is going to be hidden bullish divergence. The daily RSI is well below the lows of what we saw even in February now, which Bitcoin was trading at $42,000. So realistically, if Bitcoin were to come down here, somewhere around that green moving average, setting a higher low, you're going to have hidden bullish divergence, plus a reset on a lot of things, plus playing out that, corrective or, the flavor of the cycle correction. I'd say that's probably a pretty damn good area. Could it be, again, I do want to say on the other side, could it be that we get a surprise move like this? It's possible, as we'll go over in a probabilistic setup in a second here. But again, in my opinion, it wouldn't really be valid as long as you're below that right derp. Anyways, okay, so we've gone through that. Let's now go through the probabilistic setup. So I pulled out yet another one, and this one rather interesting, at least in my opinion, as far as the daily goes. So you've seen me set these up pretty damn easily. I can set them up very, very easily through the Skeleton Key External, which is the tool that we give out for people in the Crown Quant automation service, which you can find a link to in the description below if you're interested in, one, automated trading, or two, just automated back testing. I mean, it's kind of one and the same, really. But in this case, I did find a very quick setup here. I'm sure that this could be further optimized on the daily time frame that is actually fired off as of right now, or as of today, today's open, which was at 61,900. So kind of where current price is at right now. That does suggest that there is a 51% probability of a nice upside move from here. Now you're probably going to say, Crown, what the fuck, man? That's a coin toss, okay? You could have just set that dip the day before. Like, no, sir, the fucking obvious... I can't believe I have to explain this to myself. The obvious advantage of knowing this is that it didn't fire off here, a few days before when Bitcoin was trading at $70,000. You fuck, you unthinking fuck. So in this case, it did fire off right here on today's open. And and also in this case, it does have an average winning trade of 22.5% and an average losing trade of 8%. So that's a nice risk reward for basically a coin flip. I mean, that's why you do see the equity curve is up and to the right over time. I think this one even goes over the full history of Bitcoin, but let's see. I can actually ensure that it goes over the full history of Bitcoin by doing this. While we wait for that, let's see what 22% on top of current price action would look like, as well as 8% to the downside, as that would be the risk condition. Yeah, we do have the full history here. Okay, sweet. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's go from the open. 22% to the upside will put Bitcoin basically on slightly new highs at 75,000. Doesn't necessarily have to get there again, but that would be the average trade. And then to the downside, 8% from the current open would put you where? Would put you a little bit below where I'm kind of suggesting that next higher low could come in around. So that would be just below $57,000, and I'm saying 57,500 is about where I'd be looking for on a closing basis. So, fair enough. In this case, this particular setup over here does imply that Bitcoin could very easily come down to this level right here. It just can't close below 57 and then bounce up and then play out that move. Again, it doesn't need to be 22% to the upside. In fact, in this case, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say in this case anything, but just it doesn't need to be. Wherever the take profit conditions come in around is where that happens. And if you've been following these setups, especially that 4-hour setup, you can see that usually when it says take profit, like it's good, probably a good time. Anyways, just for back testing's sake, we can see in the past, a few months here, we've only seen 1, 2, 3, 4 setups. Yeah, 4 setups. 3 of them have been winners. 1 of them has been a loser. So yeah, fair enough. And actually playing this trend pretty nicely, kind of scalping this one. Not perfectly, but good enough. Again, so, just something to be aware of. Doesn't mean it's going to play out. Again, 51% probability. Doesn't mean 100% probability. Holy shit. I can't believe I need to explain that shit on fucking YouTube. But, hey, probably if I'm talking to the people who need that to be explained to, look, you shouldn't be on this channel. And I'm not saying that to be mean or anything like that. It's just I don't want to even think that people don't even know what that means, because it makes me lose faith in the world. And that's probably why we have casinos and people gamble and people buy lottery tickets, because that's a tax on the stupid, as they say. Not that you're stupid, it's just you're uneducated in that regard. And fair enough. Fair enough. I'm uneducated. I'm uneducated in many regards as well. But in this case, we're talking about probabilities here in a more serious tone, and hopefully not offending anyone out there. Like, look, if you're not familiar with probabilities, understand that 51% means that, if you would have about 10 times, if you would have 10 iterations, so 10 separate trades, about 5 of those would work out in your favor. So that's where the risk reward comes into your favor as well. Obviously, you want more reward than risk if you're going to have basically a coin flip. But when you have when you have one of those factors in your favor, it's just a matter of repeating that process over time. Doesn't mean that this particular one is going to win out. It's a very important thing to understand if you are trading with probabilities. And if you're not trading with probabilities, you are gambling by the definition of it, right? So either you're doing it like intentionally or you're not doing it intentionally. But if you are successful over time, then you do have some sort of probability in your favor or some sort of edge that gives you a higher probability for things to go in your favor. All right, that's enough evangelizing for right now. I apologize about that. Again, you can get the shill service over here called the Crown Quant Automation in the description below. It's on sale, the biggest sale that we'll ever have for this one, with 35% off of all the subscription monthlies. And yeah, we'll end things right there. This video went on for a little bit too long because I'm probably ranting. And so that's good enough for today. Apologies for the bad intention jokes, or they're not bad intentions, but they're just badly worded, poorly worded. And hopefully we can come together and sing Kumbaya tomorrow. So with that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully Thursday.